Hello students! In this class, Plant Communities of Colorado, we're going to be using iNaturalist to collect data in the field and then to curate that information later in our online discussion. So I'd like you to go into iNaturalist, iNaturalist.org, and create an account. And this works on any kind of device that you have. And you can obviously use it on the computer too. That's what I am doing right now. So like you could take photos with a camera and then upload them after. So basically, iNaturalist is a web-based platform where people can take photos of all kinds of flora and fauna. And then the general community helps to verify the observation. So this is like crowdsourced identification. I just put these in, so they haven't been confirmed, these new ones, but let's take a look. So I've taken 1,396 observations, and I like to do it when I go on vacation sometimes, so you can see that, but the majority of my observations are right here in Colorado Springs. So as we narrow in, what we could do is think about our field trip schema for this class. So let's take a look here. So here's downtown, and as we zoom out, campus is over here, and out here towards the east, we have the plains, and I'd like to go to Corral Bluffs as one of our locations. And then we are also going to go to the Garden of the Gods. You can see the vast majority of my observations are here. This is where I do my research. And that will represent the, plains, foothills, ecotone, or you could say the foothills on the south and west sides. And then the montane, we would see some overlap in species. So my favorite place, Garden of the Gods is not my favorite. Bear Creek is. Garden of the Gods is just where I find myself teaching and collecting data a lot of the time. So I'd like to go to Bear Creek so we can observe the riparian life zone and the montane. And you might be familiar with this. This is Gold Camp Road. Lots of people like to go recreate there and high drive. And actually, this is the headwaters of Bear Creek. And that's pretty exciting. And then on our last field trip, we are going to go up Pikes Peak. And in the transition, as we leave town, we will be in the montane, and then the lower parts of Pikes Peak Highway are in the subalpine. And then you can see right here, this line on the map where it's light colored versus green. This is tree line. And so up here is the alpine life zone. So we will also be able to collect data here. Now, I will show you, we'll get to know how we're going to use this data. But I just want to sort of show you how I put together my post for my example post for the first discussion. So, I'm going to go to my observations. Oh yeah, let's see. Here's a grid, here's a list. Let's go to a list. Now, I know that I wrote my post about Salix exigua, and this is known as narrow life willow according to iNaturalist. Most people in Colorado call it coyote willow. And now in iNaturalist, right, I've taken botanical grade photos where I am able to see the habitat and see the fruiting bodies of the reproductive parts. I love using iNaturalist on my computer because I can zoom in, and I have like a Samsung, not the fanciest of phones, but I can take pretty great pictures. This is a gall that's often on the coyote willow, and all that hairy stuff is actually from the cottonwoods. And then I also took a picture of our textbook page where the species is described, because when we're in the field, if you are able to take these pictures and interact with your book and capture this image, you've basically collected all the data you need for your discussion post. And then as we move through the field, I'll be talking to you about the ecology of the life zone, and that is another thing that you'll have to write about. Now, what I want to talk to you about is, here's how I'm cross-referencing our textbook with the tool that we're going to use to collect the data. But let's practice something else. If you click on the name of the species, you can get to all the information about this plant, every person's observations, and a link to all the high-quality references you might use in this class. So let's just take a look for a second. So here's all the observations of this plant. Salix exigua, or exigua, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And it is native to the entire United States, except for the Southeast. Excuse me, and it is endangered in New England. But take a look. That's pretty broad in occurrence. And also, there's some in other parts of the world. But most likely, those are horticultural specimens. So there you have it. That's the map. But now when you go to About, right, we're still just, I clicked on the name once I was looking at my observation, and I got to all this information. So, I'll talk about in 1 second. So here's a couple of interesting things. So you could look at the seasonality, like when most people take pictures of things when they're flowering. So, you can see the flowering season, and the history of observations, and I don't really know what sex is. Oh, that might matter for like mammalian data. And then there's more on the phenology. So now let's go to the About. So when you click on About, like find Wikipedia, that's not really what we're looking for, although it's a great quick overview. The really high quality references are here in the right. And I could put all this in the classroom, but it's all right here. And so why not? And it's linked to the species and everything. So all the like extension agents use the USDA plants database. And this is considered like the authority of native plants in the United States. And we're using Ackerfield, which is the authority of Colorado flora. So you can do a basic search in here. And there are fact sheets and plant guides, which are also great information. Now, you're not going to have to do like a full research project on any one species, so you might not get this deep into it. But if you are in grad school and doing research, this is absolutely something you're going to do. And in fact, I did it when I was in grad school and continue to do it every day. And then we also have SciNet, okay? And now SciNet is another internet resource of great value to the botanical community. So SciNet curates herbaria specimens. So these are actual specimens that live in libraries of plant material. Okay, so you get the general info again, and you get some different cross-references here, additional resources, pictures, etc. Okay, so that was SciNet. So we went over USDA Plants Database and SciNet. Those are the two I would use. You can check into these other ones and report back to us, see if they are fun and appropriate. If you are doing this for the first time, use USDA Plants Database or SciNet and start in iNaturalist. Okay, so essentially, we as a class will be both looking at the ecology of the life zone together, but we will individually be looking at different species, and we will aggregate that knowledge towards the end of the semester into like the term project, the Life Zone term project. And so that's why I'm going through this great resource. If you're smart and you want to save time, you're going to do some background research, or at least understand where you can find the information in case you end up focusing on that species in the term paper. Okay, so that is iNaturalist. If you want to get a sense of what plants I've been looking at while teaching Native Plant Master for the last couple of weeks and in other contexts, every observation I've made in the last couple of weeks, months, is something we're going to be looking at in this class. So feel free to use my iNaturalist observations to get a general overview. Like, these are the species we're going to see, and these are the species we're going to investigate. And so you can use iNaturalist as a robust resource, which it is. Thank you so much for listening, and please let me know if you have questions, and when you introduce yourself in the discussion, please include your iNaturalist ID.